How's it going, my fellow gears? Welcome back to another Horde class guide. This will be the final one that I need to do for gears, and this time we are covering the Architect. I have covered all other classes on this channel at this point, linked to a playlist in the top right now, but I may end up making some updated versions of some of my oldest guides. Let me know if you like that idea by leaving me a comment down below. The Architect is the final promotional class that we'll be looking at today, and we're going to cover everything there is to this class: cards, perks, loadout, and finish with a couple of builds. My guides are aimed at players a little newer to Gears and Horde mode, so if you are a veteran of the series, then please have a little bit of patience. Without wasting any more time on this intro though, let's get into it. The Architect is another engineer based class, but since it's a promotional class you don't have that many cards, unfortunately. You do have more options with this class than any of the other promotional classes, but we are still a little bit limited. If you pick this class in Horde mode, you will start out with an Enforcer, an M-bar, and a repair tool. You can definitely make use of these, but if you are the engineer of the group, you'll be holding your tool most of the time, and if you aren't holding your tool, you aren't living. This class has an amazing ultimate ability designed ideally for engineers called Hologram. You will spawn in a hologram that moves forward, drawing all enemy fire, essentially making this a moving decoy, and it will only stop once it hits a wall or piece of cover. This ultimate doesn't have any health but will last for 7 seconds at base value and is a great ability to gather enemies up or just to distract them for a short time. If the hologram does get too far away from enemies though, they will simply turn their attention back to the nearest player. Hologram has a really short cooldown of only 150 seconds or 2.5 minutes. The Architect gets the same passive as both other engineer classes in the game as well, granting a 15% discount on building and upgrading fortifications, and you are able to move these around the map much faster. That's the basic loadout covered for the Architect. Now onto levels and skill cards. Like I show in all these guides, here's a quick breakdown of what each level's EXP requirements are for all classes in Gears 5. If you did happen to get the Halo Reach promotional material when Gears 5 first came out, and you played as Kat, any levels or experience you had for her will have been transferred to the Architect when Operation 5 came out. Skill cards now. Since this class is one of the promotional ones, it does suffer from a lack of cards, not as much as the rest of the classes though. There are still only 11 cards to cover, so this shouldn't take too long, but I'm going to cover each card in as much detail as I can and give you the best ways to use them. Starting out with Score Boost. All classes start with this card. You can equip it or leave it. At first it makes 0 difference. It doesn't even increase the amount of class EXP you get. I've got a video covering this and I will link that in the top right for you now. Flow is your first useful card to be unlocked as the Architect. This will grant you a small amount of damage resistance whilst you are repairing fortifications. Use it for now. Getting to level 3 unlocks a second card slot and the Deception card for you to equip this in. With this equipped, hitting enemies with ballistic weapons from the side or behind will have you deal more damage. Especially useful with your hologram since you can force enemies to spin around and just lay into them whilst they are attacking your hologram. We get a blue skill card next with Top of the Line. Healthy Fortifications will deal extra damage, including barriers and shock sentries, so try to keep on top of your repairs if you have this card equipped. Speaking of repairing, the Architect's next card is Repair Efficiency. This allows you to repair faster and for less energy, which pairs nicely with that Top of the Line card you also unlocked. Equip this in the new card slot you got at level 5. And getting to level 7 will unlock your 4th card slot and the Stim Capacity skill card. This card is amazing. The problem is you don't generate any Stim for yourself just yet as the Architect. If you happen to be playing with another class that can generate Stim for you, like a Combat Medic, an Anchor, Veterans or Nomads, then you can use this card. Without any of those, it's not worth equipping just yet. Next up is Rootkit. This recharges your hologram faster the more you repair. So, if you are the designated engineer, you can use hologram quite often with this card equipped. Upon hitting level 9, you will unlock your final card slot for this class, meaning you can run up to 5 different skill cards at once. Congratulations. You will also unlock the hologram lifetime skill card, which increases the length your hologram stays active for. Definitely worth equipping if you want to maximize your hologram with each activation. Hitting double digit levels will unlock epic score boost. This is just a higher rarity in value compared to the score boost you start out with, and it still does nothing for EXP gains. Only use this if you're going for a high leaderboard rank. Our final purple skill card for the Architect is Hologram Extend. Unlocked at level 12, this card extends the length of your hologram with every ballistic hit you deal while it is active. If you pair this with the increased duration, you can easily keep your hologram active for 30 to 40 seconds. For some reason, grenade damage and hits with a torque both seem to proc this card as well, even though it isn't mentioned anywhere. There are no new cards for the Architect for another 4 levels though, and the last card you unlocked is called Regenerative Field. This is unlocked at level 16 and will generate stim for your character after taking no damage for just over 4 seconds. If you remember that stim capacity card from earlier, this is a good pairing for this card. That's all the skill cards covered already. Like I said, there aren't many for this class. Let's move on to the perks. All classes in Gears 5 have access to 4 different perks once you get into a Horde match. Perks are leveled up using energy and cost 24,250 energy to max out. Putting more and more energy into a single perk increases the bonus it provides. And the Architect will get the following: repair cost, which reduces the amount it costs to repair fortifications. Fortification health, giving the fortifications you build a bigger health pool. Repair speed, which increases the speed that you can repair any fortifications. Finally, fortification damage, which gives extra damage from all of your built fortifications. Here is a full list of all the values that these perks have, and if you need to pause the video to look through these, go ahead. We've covered everything for this class. Now, time for some build recommendations. I've got 2 builds for you today as well. The first will focus on being a traditional engineer for your team, building a base and keeping it healthy, while the second is a more damage oriented approach. To be the engineer as the Architect, you are going to want the following skill cards. Regenerative Field is here simply to help you with your survivability. You should be able to take 1 or 2 extra hits with this card active. Stim capacity will allow you to hold onto even more stim at any one time, again just for survivability. Hologram Lifetime, which will extend the length of your ultimate ability, is here just to make the most out of each activation of hologram. Send your hologram past your outermost barriers and it will take enemies further away from your base, giving you some breathing room and your team the chance to take them out. Plus, it's nice not to get shot at all the time. Repair efficiency is a must if you are the engineer in your team. This will save energy and time and will allow you to keep more of your fortifications healthy. I'm giving you an option slot for your last card, but I'm going to give you some recommendations. Rootkit can be used if you want to spam your hologram more often. This card can allow you to use your ultimate multiple times a wave if it goes on for long enough. Top of the line can be used if you feel like your team is lacking in damage. Just remember to keep on top of your repairs with this equipped or it will be a waste. Another option is Deception to increase your own damage output, but you do not always get the chance to shoot at enemies as the engineer. Finally, Flow will make your stim and health last that little bit longer when you are repairing your base. For your perks, I would suggest taking repair cost first, which will save you some energy in the long run, and it pairs nicely with repair efficiency. Fortification damage would be next. Take repair speed third, and then finish with fortification health. You won't need super tanky fortifications until waves 30 or higher, so spending less time repairing will be more worthwhile. Other classes that would pair well with this would be a robotics expert, playing a marksman build with precision repairs to help keep your base topped up. Alternatively, a combat medic can do the same with their team repair card. Jack is an obviously good pairing for this class, especially if they are using the optimizer skill card, which will give you even more energy. Other than that, a mixed team of damage dealers is ideally what you want. It's time to go over the second build I have for you today as the Architect. You can play this class as a damage dealer with the following card setup. Regenerative Field and Stim Capacity are here once again to help with your survivability. Hologram Lifetime is going to be a great tool to help maximise your damage by having your hologram be active for longer. Pair this with Hologram Extend and you can keep it active the more you deal damage. All of this is relevant only because of Deception. This card can have you deal up to triple damage when you hit enemies on the side or back. Now, you see why you want your hologram to last for longer. Take your favourite ballistic weapons. For me, it's a Lancer or a Lancer GL and a long shot. Send your hologram out just past your enemies and shoot them in the back as they turn around to deal as much damage as you possibly can to them. When your hologram isn't up, look for enemies that are focusing on your teammates. In terms of perks for this kind of build, none of them are really worth going for, since you aren't going to be building any fortifications. Although you can take repair cost and speed if you are going to be needed later on to help with repairs. This kind of playstyle will require someone else to take over as the engineer for your team, and if they can build decoys, it gets even more use out of your Deception skill card. A veteran will also be a good shout to pair with this class because, you know, aimbot. Some of the tank classes are also able to taunt enemies. You can make the most of this if enemies turn around after being taunted by a teammate. The next thing I want to do is cover all of the fortifications. I have done this in great detail already once on my robotics expert video, so I'm just going to recycle the footage and details from that. I thought it would be best to quickly go over all the different fortifications in Horde as well. There are 8 different fortifications you will find in Horde mode, and I'm going to cover everything I know about each of them. Barriers are up first. These are used to either slow down or completely stop enemies from getting close to you. You should be seeing in the footage on screen what these look like, along with their health and cost. As you level barriers up, they get more health and go from slowing enemies to stopping them completely. Level 1 and 2 barriers will only slow enemies whilst damaging them, whereas level 3 and 4 will completely stop them. You will build plenty of these playing Horde, and they are best placed in narrow hallways or several over large areas to slow groups of enemies down. Barriers are quite sturdy on their own, but they usually aren't enough to kill enemies, so have something or someone nearby to help take these enemies out. Next up are decoys. These are just a simple fortification, very underused in my opinion, but they will taunt nearby enemies to attack them, taking the aggro away from your team. You should be seeing what they look like on screen, along with their health and cost. As decoys are leveled up, they get more health, and at level 4 get a lovely surprise. If a level 4 decoy is destroyed, it will explode on death, dealing heavy damage to anything around it. Place these behind barriers or cover, and again have someone or something nearby to take out any enemies that are trying to kill your decoy, as they are defenseless on their own. Sentry guns are the third fortification we'll go over. These are used to gun down anything that gets too close. These will be a big damage boost to you as the engineer, but remember to build a little bit of everything and not too many of any single thing. On screen you should be seeing what sentry guns look like at their different levels, along with their health and cost. As they level up, they gain more health, more ammo, deal more damage, and have a longer and wider cone of vision. Check on these regularly to refill the ammo when they need it. Without, it's just a useless decoy. Our next fortification is shock sentries. These are another powerful sentry that you will use to deal damage and provide some long range crowd control. This is what they look like at different levels, along with the health and cost again. As these are leveled up, they gain more health, ammo, deal more damage, and get a longer and wider cone of vision, much like the machine gun sentry guns. These are powerful enough to kill smaller enemies in 1 to 2 hits, and even slow down bigger enemies like wardens and DR1s. Make sure you place these behind barriers, pointing towards the enemy, and refill their ammo whenever they run out. Weapon lockers are up next. These are a very supportive fortification that are used to save weapons for later use, whilst restoring the ammo for them. Leveling up weapons lockers will allow you to store more weapons simultaneously, restore ammo faster, and gives the locker more health. You should be seeing what these look like on screen now, with their health and cost values. It's usually a good idea to point this out, but a lot of classes can make use of these. I mentioned this in my mechanic video, and stated that one level 4 weapon locker is usually more than enough for most classes, and that is still the case. If you require more than one, you might not be playing your class that well, especially with how quickly these things regenerate ammo. The last buildable fortification we will go over is the Forge. Only build this if you have someone playing Jack on your team. Without him, it is not optimal and it will be a waste of energy. Also, never build more than one of these. I'm showing multiple on screen in the footage, just to show you the difference with what they look like. The Forge will provide energy to your team as you feed it weapons. Different weapons give different amounts of energy, but without Jack's optimizer skill card, it's not worth doing. As you level up the Forge, it will get even more health, and give more energy back to the weapons you feed it. Now, we have 2 more fortifications, but these simply aren't built like everything else I've covered. The first thing is technically the Fabricator itself. This is your main tool for building fortifications, reviving dead teammates, and buying weapons. Without it, you aren't that useful. The Fabricator cannot be leveled up, and can still be destroyed. If it is destroyed, it would cost 4,000 energy to get back, so place this near the back of your base, and make sure it stays healthy. The last thing we must cover are the energy taps. You will have up to 4 of these spawn randomly throughout the map, and they take about 10 seconds to capture. Once captured, they have a health bar like everything else, but if they are destroyed, you simply need to recapture them. If they survive the wave, you'll be rewarded with some energy to claim from them, and they will level up. These can get to a maximum level of 4 and provide more and more energy with each level. They will also provide your team with a percentage health bonus, up to a maximum of 25% per tap. Some of the spawns of these are a bit difficult to defend, but if you manage it, you are well rewarded for it. Only one final thing left to cover now. If you've seen any of my other guides before, you know what this will be. Maxing out the Architect will reward you with the Heroic Venom weapon skin for the Snub Pistol, and I'll show this on screen for you now.
I jabbed it!
Now that is truly everything for this class, and all classes in Gears 5 for that matter. I just want to say a huge thank you to each and every single viewer, commenter and like from you guys. It's what's made me want to come back and do more of these videos. I have got some more Gears 5 content in the works, something a little bit different, so if you want to see that, then be sure to subscribe to see my future uploads. And in my last video covering Jack, I also mentioned about a couple of links I put in the description box down below. The first is a link to a spreadsheet containing all the information from all these class guides, along with some other stuff covering fortifications and the Forge. And the second will take you to a folder containing all the images for skill cards and the heroic skins that I've used to bring you these guides. A commenter asked about these and I just wanted to mention them again in this video. But if this video has helped you out at all, give it a like to hopefully share this with other Gears fans. And as always, have an awesome day Gears, and I will see you in the next one.